Alright, so in this tutorial we're going to be going over 2D lists in Python. So a 2D list is the same thing as a 2D array in any other language. We learned previously that arrays can consist of single values and can have different values in them as well, of different data types. So here we have a list called x, and it contains the values 1, 2, 3, a string called vj, and a boolean of false. To make a 2D list, all we have to do is come in here and start adding new lists inside of this base list. So here we have a list of 3 empty lists, and then we can start to add values in here as well. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9. So now what we have here is a 2D list, and each list inside of the base list has 3 integers. Now you don't have to, again, have the same data type in each one, so we can mix and match the different data types that we want. And we can even add things like dictionaries in here too. So let's say that we have a value A, and that's 1. And then we'll say B is going to be true. And when we print this out, we can get all of our data types in that last list as well. To access parts of the list, we can just come in here and do print x. Let's get the first sublist within this 2D list. And so we see that we get the first index of this 2D list, 4, vj, and 6. Same thing if we were to get the 0th index, 1, true, 3, and the last index of 7, 8, and then that dictionary. We can then dive even deeper into this. So let's get the last list and then get the first index of that list. So we should get a 7 back. And we can do the same with the next value. And then again, get the last part in that list and we get our dictionary back. And then if you recall from our previous ones, we can also select inside the dictionary. So let's say that we want to get the A inside the dictionary. So that's a 1. And if we get the B, we'll get true. So that's just the overall basic part of how we can define a 2D list. Now you don't necessarily have to have it manually typed out like that. We can also do list comprehensions like we learned earlier as well. So if I were to do something like, let's do I for I in range 3. So this is going to loop 3 times in this list comprehension, but instead of just appending I like we might have done before to make 0, 1, 2, we're going to wrap this around another list, so another bracket, and we're going to make a list out of each one of these. So now we have 3 sublists in this 2D list, each with it having the value of I for the consecutive iteration. Now we can dive even further into this, so we can do comprehension in here. So we can do I for I in range 3, and then we don't really care about what this I is, so we'll just neglect it. And now in here we can see that our 2D list has 3 elements in every sublist, so we get 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2 for this list comprehension that we did here. So moving on from this, the most practical use of 2D lists are actually to represent images. So let's go ahead and look at what an image kind of looks like. So don't worry about these libraries, matplotlib. I'm just using these so I can visualize, so I can show you guys the output of what an image might look like. So let's just import the thumbnail that I have here. So the thumbnail that I have over here is just Python intermediate.jpg. So and now if I print out what this is, we can see that it's an array. And this is just a NumPy array, so don't worry about it. It's basically the same thing as a list, except it has some more functionality in it and it can be a little bit faster than a normal Python list, but overall it's just a normal list. But if we take a look at this, we can see that it's actually a 3-dimensional array. And the reason why it's three-dimensional is because on images, they have the normal amount of rows, the columns that represent the actual image, and then we have this third thing, which is for the color, which is in RGB values. But I can get rid of that, so let's get rid of that. And we'll just do this to get rid of it. And then once we print this out now we see that we just have a normal 2D array. So how this is represented is that each row in this 2D array represents a row in the image. So we can say that an image kind of looks something like this. So we'll have like the first pixel, the second pixel, the third pixel, and then we'll come down, and then we'll have the next rows of pixels and the next row of pixels, and it'll just keep going and going and going. So if we wanted to visualize what this looks like, we can see just like this. And this is our thumbnail. However, if we take a look again at what image actually looks like, we can see that we have like values of 255 and whatnot. So let's go ahead and normalize those values as well. So if I integer divide this by 255, and this is the max value of a color from 0 is black and 255 is white, now we only get zeros and ones in our array, and we can see that our image is a little bit distorted because each pixel value is either fully black or fully white. If we were to just do a normal division, it still looks okay. And then we have a normalization as 1 being the max and then 0 would be the min. So that about wraps it up for 2D lists. In the next video, we're going to be going over classes.